Good morning, everyone. Welcome to our Sunday service Beyond the Walls. It's so good to be back here again and to share with you and to know that you're out there listening to. I get many comments and sometimes nothing at all, but I know you're listening to me and many other talks around the world. Last night, as I prepared this talk, I was constantly distracted by the news of the demonstrations in the U.S. regarding the killing of Mr. Floyd. On top of what's going on with the pandemic and all those things that are going on, it was like another nail stuck into what is going on in our lives, and the anger and the fear and the frustration. And so I had to take a moment and pause and reorient my thoughts on my topic called Curious. And I found this blessing by Hagen Hasselbach from my Prayers for Healing book that I love to go to. And it reflects on Reverend Martin Luther King's thoughts and what he did those years ago and what's happening even today, about his contribution to peace and his desire for justice, for access, for respect for all people, just as they are doing now. I've changed it a little bit for it to lead into today's world, but it's really true for right now. So let's take a breath and breathe in and center ourselves in prayer as we open our minds and hearts. Silence your minds and open your hearts and become deeply aware of the grace of God within you. Call forth God's grace, His love, and His peace in the midst of this pandemic, these demonstrations, the pain and suffering, the chaos and violence in the world. Call on God's grace for healing, for family members and friends who are sick and for other reasons. Call on God's grace as we bless the Floyd family and all those who are out there demonstrating peacefully. Call on God's grace. As we breathe in and listen to this blessing, let there be peace, love, and compassion in every part of the world. Let calmness and friendship prevail for the good of all humanity. Let us inspire our leaders, even those police officers and all leaders, to help them to seek peace by peaceful means. Help them and urge them to build a better world. A world with equality for everyone, a world with food and work for everyone, a world with spiritual freedom for everyone. Let those who are prosperous or more prosperous than others be motivated by selfless compassion and giving. Let their money become a tool for the good of humankind. Let those who control the social medias and the mass medias to contribute to peace, to create mutual understanding, and contribute to create optimism and love in our world. Let all people create a universal network of love and friendship across the borders of the world. Let us work together to create a great future for our families, friends, co-workers, neighbors, and all people everywhere. And most of all, let us live and survive in peace and harmony. Amen. So breathe in those words and settle your mind and let go and let God. Amen. So are you curious of what I'm going to chat about today? It took me a while to get to a place where it worked for me. And I realized I always put a question mark at the end of my topic titles. Today is curious question mark. And other times it was the next door or whatever you see. I usually have a question mark because I want each and every one of you to question what I say, find your own meaning in what I'm saying, to dig deeper into what's happening in your life. And that the parts of what I say help to clarify and resonate in your mind as you move forward in your spiritual practices and to deeper your connection with God. Because the more curious you are, the more questions you are, the more rewarding your spiritual practice is. It's not just listening to a Sunday talk, it's how you relate to others all during the weeks and the months ahead. And as I said before, the theme for this month for unity was curiosity, and I've touched on it in previous weeks. But today we're going to delve more into the curiosity and how it's bringing forth a better and more empowered spiritual practice for you. In the wake of especially these demonstrations and pandemic and the hundreds of thousands of people have died around the world in the past months, what are you doing to heal yourself, to stay calm, to find peace, and to enjoy life in the midst of all that's happening? The answers will come in your spiritual practice, how curious you are. You've all heard the phrase, curiosity killed the cat. Well, we're not going to kill a cat here, but we're going to open our mind to be more curious, be more perceptive, and to motivate ourselves to move beyond the fear of right now that you could be experiencing to a place of peaceful empowerment. You know, our world has evolved from ships sailing to find new land to powerful jets and planes that fly as quickly around the world, from mainframe computers that filled our big rooms and only limited use to laptops and phones in every part of our lives today, from slow internet connections to 4G and 5G. Just press a button and we find out what we need. To prayers always in churches and congregated there seemed to be the only place you prayed to. Now praying beyond the walls and using technology. So curiosity is key. It is the main inspiration for our continual development in this world and our evolution in this world. Man's curiosity. So think of curiosity in that sense. So you get to ask questions. So I have 6 questions, and you might want to write them down and think of them later and form your own answers. But 6 questions that will expand your spiritual practice and bring you closer to God and knowing your truth and who you truly are in the midst of all that is going on in the world. And the first question is, how can I see this differently? How can I see what's going on in this world differently? How can I see what those police officers do differently and take that image away? We have to shift our mindset. We have to infuse light and love in our eyes to see beyond this. Now, when we see it differently, we can find different ways to heal first ourselves and then those out in the world. Yes, there are those who are taken to demonstrate, and that many have done it peacefully, but then there are all out there who are agitators who are making it about supremacy and hate and anger and all those things. But we have to look deeper and see it differently and infuse love collectively into the minds of ourselves and those in the world who just want to be healed, be free, and to see all these injustices be stopped, especially to people of color. The next question is, who or what am I blaming? Or who or what are you blaming? For many of us, we always blame someone else for what's going on in our life. We can blame the pandemic. We can blame the CDC. We can blame our presidents and our premier. We can blame our family members for everything that's happened. We pass it on to someone else. But when we blame, we don't get a chance to heal, because blaming puts it outside of ourselves and makes us powerless. We need to take back our power and recognize who we are in the midst of all of this. Not blaming anyone, but knowing our truth and standing up for our truth peacefully and with love, shifting our mind to find a way to serve, to heal, to do what needs to be done, to make our world a better place and make our lives better. The next question, you curious now? How can you be more self-aware? These three already ask you to be self-aware, to see things differently, to stop blaming. How can you be more self-aware? Self-awareness is about stopping and thinking before you get angry, stopping and thinking before you yell, stopping and thinking before you act out, stopping and thinking before you scream at someone. With all that is going on and our frustrations of being shouted at home, not having jobs, and all that's going on in the world, we are in a steaming, melting point of our lives for many of us. And we have lost our sense of self-awareness because we don't know what's next. Our life was going along fine until this pandemic came, and now look what keeps coming next. We have to stop, breathe. We call it radical self-awareness. It means being aware of the primary experiences of seeing, hearing, feeling, thinking, and what it means. And how are we, and what are we doing in these experiences of what we're seeing and hearing and feeling and thinking? It means being aware of our emotional responses that are arising from all of this. Are we judging? Are we blaming? Are we stuck in that circle of abuse and all that's going on? Be self-aware. Stop. Think. Breathe for a moment before you take the next step. The next question is, who or what can I forgive? Forgiveness is key in all of this. In the demonstrations, in what is happening in our lives. Yes, the pandemic happened, but we have to forgive ourselves because there are some saying, well, I wish I had saved more. I wish I had done something different. I wish I hadn't gone out without a mask or this. Now I'm saying, forgive thyself. The revealing word by a co-founder, Charles Fillmore, says, through forgiveness, it's only through forgiveness that true spiritual healing is accomplished. Forgiveness removes the errors of our minds, and bodily harmony results when we open our hearts to the divine law. So forgive yourself. Know that God is with you, helping you through all that is going on. We even have to forgive that police officers to get through the anger. And yes, it may take time, but forgiveness is what we need to do. Forgive us if we're out there demonstrating and we got really angry at somebody else and we lashed out when we were there to be peaceful. Find the peace and forgiveness in your heart and do what you need to do to move forward and create a peaceful world. The next question is, what am I doing today that makes me better than yesterday? Write that question down. What am I doing today that makes me better than yesterday? All of those questions that you asked before will make you better today. Even this moment, when you think about how aware you are, how you're forgiving, how you're not blaming and you're seeing things differently. When you open your heart to those things, you create a positive energy around yourself and around the people outside of you. But 4 things you can do, and we call them the big 4 in unity. These are 4 things you can do to help enhance your spiritual practice and help you to be more aware and perceptive of what's going on in the world when it's spinning out of control, as it seems to be right now. First one, meditate. Take a breath. Breathe in and clear your mind just for a moment if that's all you have. Next, start eating better. For many of us during this shutdown time, we have opened that refrigerator more than we've ever done in our lives. I remember the lady upstairs who always exercised. She says, I gained weight. Many of us have gained weight because we're frustrated, we're angry. And what do? We go to comfort foods. So now we get a mind to go differently, to eat healthier, ditch the sugars, and let ourselves feel better inside and out. Exercise, and I talked about I've walked throughout this entire pandemic, and because that's what's cleared my mind and got me out in nature. Moving your body is like hitting a reset button. Gets us breathing a little bit heavier and invigorates our mind, body, and our souls. And number 4 is get enough sleep. We're home. We're not working, not by choice, but sleep more. They say 8 hours. I can't sleep 8 hours, but at least 6, I would say. That gets you on top of your game, clears your mind, so that when you go to see things, you can see them differently because your mind is clear and you're not exhausted. So what are you going to do today and going forward? And the last question before I go into the daily word is, how can you love more? How can you love more? In the midst of all that is happening, how can you love more? Another one from our revealing word. It says, by establishing ourselves in the consciousness of divine love and expressing that love all the time, we help to fulfill the commandment. Love your enemies. Do good to them that hate you. Bless them that curse you. Pray for them that despise and use you. Isn't that key to what's going on? So establish yourself in a consciousness of divine love. This will bring about happiness and contentment. Yes, it may take a while after you boil down from where you may be at this moment. Make it a daily practice to ask yourself how you can love more in the midst of all that is happening. Always be curious. Always ask questions. Turn to God with all of your questions. He will answer them in divine order and perfectly. And as it says in Matthew 7:7, ask and it will be given you. Seek and you will find. Knock and it will be open to you. The doors will open to change. Be curious. Be curious in your spiritual practice. And allow yourself to find the peace that passes all understanding. And our daily word entitled Love affirms, I am a loving presence to everyone I meet. Listen again. I am a loving presence to everyone I meet. It has been said that the world needs more love. The truth is that all the love the world could ever need is already present everywhere, because God is love and God is present everywhere. Created in God's image, you are divine love in human expression. Know that love is much more than a positive feeling. Divine love is the energy of oneness itself. Remain centered in divine love. Know the oneness of God in all people, including those who are dear to you and those who you have never met. Divine love helps you to see good everywhere and in everyone. So look beyond the conflicts and limitations and find the good that is always yours to discover. That's curiosity. 1 John 4 says, "Beloved, let us love one another, because love is from God. Everyone who loves is born of God and knows God." That's an amen. And before we go into a meditation, I'm going to play Blessed Always by Ricky Myers. But let's affirm, let me be divinely curious and curious about the divine. That sums it all up. Let us be divinely curious, always with God, and curious about the divine. This deepens our spiritual practice. So keep asking questions. Go within. Be self-aware. Forgive. And open your heart. As we play Blessed Assurance for your meditation today. Or Blessed Always, it's called.
Blessed always, blessed always, for the arms of God surround us. Let our joy be so triumphant that we rest in God and say amen. Blessed always, blessed always, for the arms of God surround us. Let our joy be so triumphant that we rest in God and say amen.
Breathe in those words. I didn't have to lead us in because these words speak to our hearts. God is with us, blessing us always. So seek His blessings and allow it to guide us through this world that we are in now.
Blessed always, blessed always, for the arms of God surround us. Let our joy be so triumphant that we rest in God and say amen. Let our joy be so triumphant that we rest in God and say amen. Rest in God and say amen.
Take another deep breath in and allow those words to flow through your being as you come back to this place centered in the love and the power and the blessings of God. As we say our prayer of protection, the light of God surrounds us, the love of God enfolds us, the power of God protects us, the presence of God watches over us wherever we are. God is, and we are richly blessed right now. And so, until we meet again, I bless you, I love you, I appreciate you, and I behold the Christ in you. Namaste. Amen.